Today, we are going to unlock the full potential of your brain. We're about to transform the way you learn with 7 seriously powerful, science-backed techniques to help you study smarter, not harder. Let's dive right in. First off, let's talk about a problem we have all faced. You've been there, right? You spend hours, maybe even days, cramming for a big exam. You feel like you've got it down, but then, when the moment of truth comes, poof! That key information just vanishes. Why does that happen? It is such a frustrating cycle. But listen, the answer isn't more effort, it's a better strategy. And part of the problem is that we often realize this way too late. So what does this number mean? Well, 25 is the age after which our brain's natural, incredible ability to forge new connections begins to slow down. This is your golden window to build a truly powerful mind. The time to master these techniques is like right now. So that brings us right into our first section. See, the issue isn't that you're not trying hard enough. It's that most of us were never actually taught how our brains learn. We're using these old-school, outdated methods during the most critical learning period of our entire lives. It is time to change that. I want you to think of your brain as this massive, sprawling library. Every single day, you're adding new books, new information to the shelves. Getting the information in there, that's actually the easy part. The real challenge, and the absolute key to acing your exams, is knowing how to find and pull out that specific piece of information exactly when you need it most. Okay, so how do we build a better retrieval system for that library in our heads? Well, it all starts with how we first engage with the information. This section is all about creating super strong memory foundations right from the very beginning. Let's look at 2 completely different approaches. Over on the left, we've got passive learning. Just rereading your notes or highlighting passages. It feels productive, but it's kind of like looking at a map once and then hoping you remember the entire route. Then, on the right, you've got active learning. This is where you force your brain to actually recall and explain the information. And that, my friends, is where the magic happens. And the number 1, the absolute champion technique for active learning is active recall. It is so simple, but it is unbelievably powerful. Here's how it works. First, you read a section of your material. Second, and this part is crucial, you close the book. Third, you try to recall everything you just read, either by writing it all down or just saying it out loud. Finally, you open the book again, check what you missed, and really focus on filling in those gaps. And here is why this works so incredibly well. Every single time you actively recall a piece of information, you are literally strengthening the neural connections in your brain. You're taking what was a faint, overgrown little trail and paving it into a multi-lane, blazing fast superhighway. This makes that information so much easier and faster to access later. Okay, so active recall creates that strong initial memory. Awesome. But how do you make sure it actually sticks around for the long haul, for weeks, months, or maybe even years? Well, that brings us to our next powerhouse technique. The key is something called spaced repetition. Instead of cramming everything all at once, you review the information at increasing intervals. You might review it a couple of days after you first learn it, then maybe a week later, and then a month after that. By doing this, you're basically sending a signal to your brain that says, hey, this information is important. Lock it into long-term storage. Okay, quick challenge. Take a look at this string of numbers. Try to memorize it right now. Go. It's pretty difficult, right? Your brain is struggling to process this long, random sequence of digits. It just feels like a lot. But what about now? See how much easier that is? It's the exact same information, but it's been broken down into logical groups. And this leads us to our next amazing technique. This is called chunking. Whether it's a long number, a complex scientific concept, or a super dense chapter in a history book, you can make it so much easier to learn by just breaking it down into smaller, logical groups or chunks. This seriously reduces the mental strain and helps your brain see the connections between all the pieces. So, we've covered how to learn and how to retain information. Now, let's talk about how to actually structure your study time. How do you stay focused and avoid that awful feeling of burnout when you have hours of work staring you down? The answer is interleaved practice. So instead of spending, say, 4 hours just grinding away at a single topic until your focus completely fades, You switch between different but related subjects or types of problems. This keeps your brain on its toes and totally engaged. Let's just compare them side by side. Blocked practice on top is studying one math topic for 4 straight hours. What's the outcome? Usually boredom, mental fatigue, and you just stop learning effectively. But with interleaved practice on the bottom, you could spend 30 minutes on 4 different topics. This keeps your brain constantly engaged, it sharpens your focus, and it actually helps you see the connections between the topics. All right, for our last section, let's look at a few more powerful techniques that really tap into your brain's natural abilities, making learning feel way more intuitive and, honestly, a lot more effective. Our brains are wired for visuals. They process images so much faster than text. For instance, I can tell you that the human brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text. And you get it intellectually, but it's just words on a screen, right? But what if you could just see it? Boom. Same information, but you get it instantly. This perfectly demonstrates our next technique, visualization. Your brain is a visual processing machine. So turning concepts into diagrams, charts, or mind maps isn't just some cute trick. It's literally speaking your brain's native language. Next up is the Feynman technique, named after the brilliant physicist Richard Feynman. The idea is simple but so profound. If you can't explain a concept to someone else in simple, easy-to-understand terms, you don't really understand it yourself. This forces you to find the gaps in your own knowledge and build a much, much deeper understanding. And finally, we have mnemonics. These are those clever memory tricks we all know, like using a silly acronym to remember a list of planets, or creating a memorable phrase for a sequence of items. They are incredibly effective for just memorizing lists, orders, and raw facts. So there you have it. This is your new study playbook. And these aren't just a list of separate tricks. They form a complete system. You use active recall to build the memory, spaced repetition to make it last, chunking to simplify it, and interleaving to stay engaged. Then you use visualization, the Feynman technique, and mnemonics to deepen your understanding from every possible angle. Together, these methods form such a powerful system for learning literally anything more effectively. So the only question left is, which one are you going to try first?